Hey everyone, it is me again, ready to chat about another one of my past financial screw-ups, because honestly, sharing these stories feels a bit like therapy for me, and hopefully it helps you steer clear of the same potholes. Today, we are diving deep into one of those expenses that silently eats away at our wallets. And for most of us, it is a huge one. Transportation, specifically our beloved cars. I used to be so blind to how much these things actually cost, and looking back, it makes me cringe a little bit. You know, when I was in my early 20s, I was obsessed with making money fast. I was always looking for the next big thing, the hot stock, the insider tip. I saw saving money as almost beneath me, like it was for people who could not make their money work harder. Boy, was I wrong. I chased those high returns, bought into every trendy stock, listened to every rumor, and traded like a maniac, buying high and selling low more times than I care to admit. And through all that, I was bleeding money on things like cars, completely unaware. It is funny. Everyone talks about the big three expenses: housing, transportation, and food, and for good reason. They are huge. But what did I focus on back then, trying to save a buck cutting out my daily coffee? Seriously, I was pinching pennies on lattes while hemorrhaging hundreds, sometimes thousands, on my car without even realizing it. That is the kind of stuff that just makes you shake your head when you look back. The truth is, focusing on those small daily expenses is like trying to empty a swimming pool with a teaspoon when you have a fire hose. Filling it up, the real savings, the game-changing money, comes from tackling those big-ticket items, and transportation, for many of us, is a monster. Let me tell you, my experience with cars was a classic case of not doing the math. I always thought, oh, my car is only worth 10,000 bucks, so that is all it cost me. Nope, not even close. In 2022, the average cost of owning and operating a vehicle in the US was probably over $10,000 a year, even for a car you think is cheap. That number, it just kind of hits you, does not it? It certainly hit me eventually. Let us dig into that a little more. The latest data we have from 2020 put the average total cost for 15,000 miles, which is what most people drive in a year, at $9,561. Now factor in that gas prices are up, car prices are up, some used cars by 40%. That 9,500 bucks is easily over 10,000 now. And for a young guy like me, back then, who was already struggling with my impulsive investing, this was just a silent killer of my finances. So I want to talk about how we can really save money on this, because it is something I wish someone had broken down for me when I was starting out. Take a 2016 Ford Focus, for example. It is a 6-year-old car worth maybe $12,800. But the cost to own and operate that car over 5 years, $38,000. Think about that, 38 grand for a $12,000 car. That is almost $8,000 a year. And this is for a Ford Focus, a pretty economical car. Imagine what it is for an F-150 or a Chevy Silverado. Some of the best-selling trucks out there. Those numbers would make your eyes water. Where does all that money go? Well, a huge chunk is depreciation. This was a concept I completely ignored. I just thought, I buy a car, it is mine. I never considered how quickly its value drops. When you buy a new car, you drive it off the lot, and poof, 10% of its value is gone, sometimes more. A $30,000 car instantly becomes $27,000. It is no longer new, it is used, and it loses money fast. That is why if you look at depreciation curves, and I wish I had known about these earlier, you generally do not want to buy a car in its first couple of years. The sweet spot is usually a few years old, but not so old that it becomes a money pit. Trust me on this one, I have had those old cars that constantly break down, needing repairs every other month. That is a whole different kind of financial bleeding and a huge headache. Finding a car in that middle ground of the depreciation curve, that is where you save big right off the bat by not eating all that initial depreciation. Another area I completely overlooked was taxes and fees. You cannot escape them, but you can minimize them. I knew people who had 3 or 4 cars, and every year they were hit with registration fees, inspection costs, all those little things that add up to a lot if you can manage with just one vehicle, or even better, no vehicle. Like I accidentally did for a few years, you save a ton. It might be an inconvenience, but the financial payoff can be huge. Then there is financing, the interest payments. Most people cannot just drop $30,000 or $40,000 in cash on a car, so they finance it. And if you have bad credit or just do not shop around for a good rate, you are paying a premium. I learned this the hard way with other loans. I would never pay an interest rate over 5% in this market. Now, because if you are paying 7% interest on a loan, you might as well put that money into the stock market or literally anything else, and probably make more money. Paying high interest on a depreciating asset is just, well, it is a bad deal. It is a lesson I had to learn from my own missteps. Fuel costs, this is a big one. $11,866 for a Ford Focus over 5 years. Gas prices have been crazy, and frankly, I do not see them coming down significantly anytime soon. I mean, I see people on social media saying, just buy a Tesla, it is so cheap to charge. And while that is true, most of us do not have $50,000 lying around for an electric car. It is a bit disconnected from reality, is not it? Hopefully they become more affordable in the future, but for now, Fuel is a significant ongoing expense insurance. This is probably the best piece of advice I can give you in this whole video, and it is something I do religiously. Now, every single year, I call up insurance companies and shop around. I used to just renew with the same company year after year, thinking I was getting the best deal. Turns out I was leaving money on the table. So many people do this. They stick with the same insurance for years, sometimes decades, without ever checking if they can get a better rate. I have it marked on my calendar once a year. I call around for car insurance, home insurance, even electricity. I play them against each other. I will tell State Farm, hey, Progressive gave me this quote. Can you beat it? And often they can. It is amazing how much you can save for that. Ford Focus example, $7,200 over 5 years for insurance. That is over $1,000 a year. Cutting that down significantly by just making a few phone calls. That is real money. Also understand the types of insurance. Everyone needs liability. It is the law, and it protects you if you cause an accident. But collision insurance, that is for damage to your own car. If you have an expensive car, it is probably worth it. If you have an older, less valuable car, maybe not. It is a personal decision, but knowing the difference and what you are paying for can save you a lot. Repairs and maintenance. This was another huge blind spot for me, almost $10,000 over 5 years for repairs and maintenance. That is like $2,000 a year. Most of us just see our cars as these magical boxes that get us from A to B. We do not understand how they work, and we certainly do not know how to fix them. And because of that, we pay mechanics an arm and a leg for things we could probably do ourselves. I used to be that guy. My car would make a weird noise, and straight to the mechanic I would go, wallet ready. Now, I have learned a bit. I change my own oil. Jiffy Lube charges like $150, $200. I can buy a big jug of oil from Walmart, do it in my driveway in the same amount of time, and save a ton. Over the years, that adds up. Get an OBD2 scanner. They are like $15, $20 on Amazon. When your check engine light comes on, you plug it in, it tells you the code, and then you can usually find a YouTube video or a manual that tells you how to fix it. Obviously, if it is something serious, like your brakes are failing, please go to a professional. But for a lot of smaller issues, you can save thousands by doing it yourself. That $10,000 over 5 years for repairs, a good chunk of that can stay in your pocket if you just learn a little about your car. Now, for a personal story, one of those moments that really shifted my perspective. Back in 2016, a really unfortunate thing happened. My car, well, it started steaming, then smoking, then it caught fire, and then it literally blew up. Fire department, everything. It was a mess, and I lost my car, but looking back, it was actually a blessing in disguise. Because from 2016 to 2019, I did not have a car over that 3-year span. I saved probably $20,000 by not having a car. It was not always fun. Spending time at Greyhound stations in Harrisburg, Allentown, Philly, it was an adjustment, but that $20,000 I invested it. Some in individual stocks, which looking back was still a bit of a mistake, but also into index funds and ETFs. And by 2022, that $20,000 had almost doubled to $50,000. That is why I am sharing this. It is not to brag, but to show you the sheer power of reducing these big expenses. $20,000 saved on car expenses over 3 years, invested wisely, turned into $50,000. And who knows, in a few more years, that $50,000 could be $100,000. That is the kind of compounding magic that truly builds wealth. So if you cannot completely cut out your car, which for many of us is just not practical, I want to give you 5 big takeaways on how you can still save a lot of money. First, shop around for insurance every single year. A few $100s saved here and there, invested, can become a lot more over time. Make that call. Second, if possible, become a one-car family. I know it sounds annoying, but if you have 2 or 3 cars, cutting down to one can save you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year. Imagine investing that. It could turn into something huge, like my $20,000 did. Third, learn about vehicles. Spend a little time understanding how your car works, how to do basic maintenance, and how to diagnose simple issues. It will save you from countless mechanic bills. Fourth, live closer to where you work or commute. My brother, for example, got a job teaching in a city and decided to live 3 blocks away from the school. He does not even need a car now, and he is saving probably close to $10,000 a year on gas, wear and tear, maintenance, everything. Not everyone has that flexibility, but it is something to seriously consider if you do. And fifth, focus on buying a car at the right part of the depreciation curve. With used car prices up 40% right now, it is a bit annoying, I know, but aim to buy a car that is between 2 and 8 years old. You avoid that massive initial drop in value, and you get a car that is still reliable enough not to be a money pit. These tips, they are not about getting rich quick. They are about being smart with your money, avoiding the pitfalls I fell into, and letting those savings compound over time. It is a powerful lesson and one I wish I had learned much earlier. So take these to heart and you will thank yourself later.